Hello, welcome once again to my microscopic little channel. We're back for another lap driving guide, and this time it's Interlagos, where the Bongo chaps are off to on Thursday. So a little bit of dry, a little bit of wet. Hope it's helpful and enjoy. Thank you. Okay, so you're coming down here, full chat, top gear. You're wanting to brake after the 50 board there, just as the track starts to darken, pretty much where I am now. So about 2 car lengths after the 50 meter board. Brake all the way down to second gear in as much of a straight line as you can. And then quite a late turn in. The apex is going to be hidden behind your A-pillar, as is so often the case. It should start to become visible just as you turn in to this point here. And try and keep the car roughly in the middle of the road, but preferably slightly to the left, because what you're trying to do is straighten the exit as much as possible, going on to the next part of the track. So don't go any further to the right than where I am now, sort of middle of the road at worst, left of the road at best. And then a bit of a lift here, you shouldn't need to brake again, and aim to get your right hand tyres as close to this yellow sausage as you can without actually touching it, because it will bounce the car around a little bit too much. A little bit more than you want to anyway. And from this point here, you can start to fully open the throttle, drift out, use the left hand curb here. It does bounce the car around a little bit, but the idea here is this section should be pretty much flat. Now, in the Lamborghini, I find it quite hard to do flat. Sometimes it seems to just about work, but sometimes you need a very slight lift, whereas other cars I've tried, it's quite easily flat. So just a matter of experimenting with the particular car you're driving. Come on, car. So, yeah, drift out to the right. You can use all the curb on the exit to about this point here, so your left-hand tyres are on the white line. And stay to the right-hand side of the track. And you're looking for, after the last modal sign there, a little orange end to the barrier, and then there's like a little tarmacy service road entrance thing. That's your braking point. Here, so I brake all the way down to third gear here, and then start to turn into this corner with the brakes still on ever so slightly, so trail braking. You have to be very patient here, because the temptation is, once you get to about this point, to go back on the accelerator. If you do that, you will tend to drift out a little bit too wide, and it's very easy to get a track cut here. So I tend to wait until I've gone past the little yellow raised section here on the inside the yellow, green and white curve. So about here you should be able to start to accelerate. Now try and keep the steering in a fixed position, so you go out and then back in one smooth arc if you can. You can come out to this point, so your left hand tires are on the white line, but anything beyond that and you'll get a track cut, and it's very easy to do. So like I say, steering at the same angle, you should drift back in again, maybe clip that curb and then back out, and then let the car drift back over to the left. You can put your left hand wheels on the green tarmac, runoff, whatever it is, I don't know. The braking point for this corner is the second Goodyear sign. If that has been knocked over for any reason, which I can't imagine happening in a race, you can just use the Marshall post on the left there. That's roughly in the same location. But if you're looking towards the corner, as ideally you should be, then the Goodyear sign will be in your natural line of sight. So yeah, as soon as you get to that Goodyear sign, good good hard brake down to third gear. Start to turn in. Pretty close to that apex on the right there, but let the car drift back out wide again, and then tighten back in. And you're looking for the end of the yellow sort of sausagey section, and there's some dirt on the ground there. Once that's in your line of sight, like now, you can go full power. Try and clip it, and that should naturally force the car to drift back out to the left to about this point here. As soon as you have drifted out to this point, it's hard on the brakes all the way down to first gear. Again, trail brake into here ever so slightly. Now it's difficult to see the exit because the road drops away slightly, but if you look at these total energy signs. There's 4 of them in total. 3 of them on the right are quite close together. I try and aim the car for between the first and second of the 3 close together ones, going left to right. So there would be my aiming point here. So stay in first gear, but full power for a second or two, and then back on the brakes at this point. Now hug this inside curb as much as you can. I at this point go up to second gear because I think second is a little bit easier to accelerate with. And you're hugging this inside curb, waiting for the total energy sign, that one there, to come into view. Once that comes into view, you should be in second gear. This stupid bloody shift protection won't let me go into it. Once that comes into view, you should be able to go full power, which should make the car drift out, and use this exit curb here. Now again, this is another track where I've got I think with most cars now since the latest update, turning the traction control down a little bit does tend to help. It gives you a little bit more rotation on the throttle while it's still fairly controllable. So yeah, out onto that curb and full power again, and your braking point for this next corner is where this curb starts. So just after this sort of shorter version of the track, you get to this curb on the right and then brake in a straight line down to first gear again. You don't need to go right to the left here, but sort of where I am now, towards the left, but it's kind of left middle of the road if there is such a thing. And it's the same technique as the other one. Turning on a bit of a trail brake, first gear, get your right hand tyres on this curb, and then quite an aggressive drive out. Now I don't tend to find it too problematic coming quite far over to the left here. Some people prefer to stay to the right to straighten the entrance into the next corner, but for me, I find that if I go over to the left and then back to the right, there's enough time to be able to then flick it to get the direction changed, if you will. So yes, back over to the right here, and then to the left. You'd be in third gear at this point. Now you can't do this flat, but generally you can be on full power for most of it, and then just a small lift for a second or so is enough to give you the rotation to get round. You can use the curb if you can, if you don't find that brrr too annoying. Then once you get to about the point I'm at now, you can go back on full power. Go quite far out on the exit if need be. So again, you can, as long as you keep your left-hand tyres on the white line, you're okay out to this point. However, before you get to the next kind of eggshelly, dirty, whatever that stuff is, bit, you want to get back onto the proper tarmac, because that's very slippery, whatever it's supposed to be. It looks like some form of concrete, and in other games, I think you can use that, but in this game, not so much. So yeah, back onto the tarmac. Once the track darkens here, about a car length after that, there just don't seem to be many references for this corner. But just after the track darkens, hard brake down to second gear, turn in on a bit of a trail brake, skim over this curb. Now normally I'd suggest trying to do everything very smoothly and progressively, but this corner for me seems to benefit from quite an aggressive kick of the throttle. So in second gear, you just stamp on the accelerator. That makes the back swing round ever so slightly and gives you a slightly better exit, because this is obviously a very important corner because you've got an awfully long stretch of road coming up now. So yeah, like I say, quite an aggressive kick of accelerator. Use the exit curb and then all the way up here. So as always, we'll go around again a little bit faster. So you can cut this here. Get your steering as straight as you can. Let the car drift out and then drift back in again. And cut the left bit, the left green on the left, but not too much of course. Add up to there, so yeah, a little bit faster. 9:10:02.55. So brake after the 50 board, down to second, staying over to the left if we can. A little bit wide there. See, I'm drifting out a little bit wide there, so slight lift. Tying the line up again. Don't think we're getting to sixth along here. So hard on the brakes, down to third. And just after the yellow stops, back on the power. Oh. Down to the right, back over to the left. Break at the Goodyear sign. Out and then back in again, looking for the bit of dirt. There it is. That's first. Looking for the in between the signs. Second, there's the total sign. Slight lift just to tie in the line again. And stomp on the throttle. Track limits then. Do apologise. Oh, and the next lap's invalid as well. Brilliant. Okay, by the power of magic, it is now very wet. So I'll brake a little bit early for this first corner. At the 50 board. A lot smoother, more progressive on the throttle. More patient here. There. Brake just before the service road now. Too eager on the throttle there. And again, brake before the Goodyear sign. Missed that a little bit there. You don't have to worry about using the curves or avoiding puddles or anything in this game when it's wet. Just follow the exact same line, it's just you've just got less grip essentially. Go around once more. Oh, got away with that one. 4-3. Turning on the brake a little bit. It's better this time. Less eager on the throttle. And you see the difference there from just getting on the throttle a little bit too early and then having to lift off again. And then from not doing that, you gain quite a bit of time. Even though this looks very pedestrian. Better this time. Seeing that little little wiggle coming out of that last corner. My time's just plummeting now, so the key to going quick in the wet, I think, is patience and smoothness and yeah, everything you do in the dry, but more so. So braking a little earlier, accelerating a little later, a little more progressively. It's not massively difficult, it's just a different technique. So hopefully that's of some help. And yeah, I'll put a fast-ish lap on now, and thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Ta-ta.
136.10. That time was a 135.92.